Let me share my screen. Always the complications, right? I was so ready. So not that. Welcome to our title tales. We're going to talk about buyer and seller net sheets. So we have Anne as our presenter. But I wanted to talk a little bit. I do want to give recognition for Bliss Realty, Mara and Lisa. I didn't know if you guys wanted to say a few words about Bliss and kind of, I appreciate you so much for giving us the opportunity to be able to speak today and to giving us facilitating us being able to do this. So I didn't know if Mara, if you wanted to talk a little bit
It's all
about.
you, girl. They hear enough from us.
Well, you guys are co-sponsoring, so I appreciate it so much, like I said, for you facilitating this for your agents and then for obviously all the agents that Anne deals with, for her to be able to kind of get this out there. So so I am Lindsay Luton. I am with Pioneer Title Agency. So I wanted to tell you just a little bit about Pioneer Title for those that don't know. Pioneer Title is a family-owned company. We've been around since 1985. To me, that's really, really important. Aligning with, I've been in title for a while and I've worked for a couple different companies, and stability is the number one important thing for me right now. And so I love the fact that we have been around since 1985. I love that our company culture is so deep, and our core values of investing in our communities where we serve. We have over 90 branches statewide. So there's, I always say we're like Starbucks. You can find one on every corner. It's such a benefit to have, no matter where your clients are, they can walk into a brick and mortar Pioneer Title Agency office. And I think that that really helps with credibility, but also there's just some people that need that face to face, and it's a big transaction. So I think it's really cool. You can have a client, that maybe is up north or in Surprise, or and they need to walk earnest money in, or they want to, people don't want to send something just over to nothing. They want to walk it in, and they can do that in any Pioneer Title office. So I love that about Pioneer Title.
Well, you guys also are Northern Arizona because we have transactions up there, right?
Yep,
Prescott, Payson, Show Low. We have agents even in Lakeside. Now, do you guys also work in Tucson?
yep,
Yes.
yep.
Okay, cool.
Every county in Arizona, we pretty much dominate the state of Arizona. So there's nowhere you, like I said, in the state, go to every little town, guess what you're gonna find? Pioneer Title. So we started in Sierra Vista in 1985, and it's really has been a mission of Pioneer Title to serve the more rural communities. They came to Maricopa County in 2008. Which you can go ahead and put that together. When it's up, it's down, which I think is so smart with the Newland family of coming in and different markets and having that. So yeah, we're everywhere. So wherever you need a Pioneer Title, you
And
let me.
also we can handle transactions. Like for instance, I have agents in Show Low, Tucson, Casa Grande, and I can handle all of their transactions from my desk.
Yep.
So we all bank with the same bank, and we can all, we all communicate together. So that's even better than other companies that have, First American has offices all over too, but they don't all bank with the same bank. There's, other big companies too, but we have all similar systems and banks. So that makes it easy for us to handle anything anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice too, because she can handle it, but if they have to walk into an office and show though, they can. So they can do their signing there if they need to. And I think that that's huge for people. Just a little bit about me, like my background is in marketing. So that is my job, is to support agents in some of their marketing efforts. I always say I empower you, I don't enable you. So I want to be a part of your systems and helping you grow in that way. I am very good at connecting you with, the right escrow officer. Anne would be your escrow officer in this case. I'm also a wonderful brainstorming buddy. So I like to help you. Like I said, you need to drive your own ship, but a lot of times I can have some input into just some different ideas and things that you can do. I really brand myself on the authenticity and integrity. I have to stand behind what I'm selling, and I 100% can stand behind Pioneer Title. That's why I love it. 100% can stand behind Anne. I know that the level of her work and expertise is amazing. But I wanted, for those of you that you might be watching the recording or you might be on now, but if you see that little barcode or the QR code that's in the bottom right there by my face, if you want to scan that, that kind of helps me understand how to follow up with you. So I always tell people, like, I follow up with everybody. It's literally my job. That's what they hired me to do. So I like to kind of find out how you need to be followed up with. If you maybe you're already in a current relationship with a title company. Oh, I'm going to put it in the chat too. You might already be in a current relationship with a title company, and so you don't, and that's fine. I love that. I think that's wonderful, but you might see the value of having a number two. And so that's what I want to have a conversation with you about, is just being your number two. I did put it in the chat, if for some reason you can't scan the barcode or the QR code. I would love to be your number two. We want to have that conversation. You might be neutral and you haven't really made a decision about a title partner. You just go with whoever, and that's totally fine, except you probably haven't had a negative experience. That's why you do that. But it's really important to build those relationships. And so I just like to talk to you about, how we can help you build a very seamless closing. And that way you get more referrals, like how it's important for you to be, to align with one escrow officer. She understands your systems and your processes, and it just flows really, really smooth. And that helps your transactions overall. The next category is people who maybe you had a relationship with a title company, but maybe your escrow officer has retired or left the business, or you don't know where they went. That's happening a lot. And so you see the value of a relationship, but you might need to have that conversation. You're actively shopping. So that's the category that you check there. And then the final category is I call it like the D category. Put me in your database, follow up. You guys are welcome to come to any event that we have at Pioneer Title that we sponsor. I don't care. So you'll just be in the database. You'll get emails with links, be able to see where we're at, and if you want to sign up for classes or whatever the case is. So the final one is you might already work with Pioneer Title, and I just don't know. So I call that a love letter. So that's an option on there as well. So if you work with a Pioneer Title, either rep, escrow officer, I always say it's a love letter. We love that you work with them, and it'd be great if you would just write a little love note to them and let them know how much you appreciate them, why you appreciate them, and I'll make sure that they get it. So if you do it online, well, I guess you guys aren't writing it down. It's a different kind of event, but go ahead and just write a little note in there, and I'll make sure that I forward that on to them. So I just wanted to put that out there. Let us know how we can follow up with you. What would be the best way? So I want to introduce Anne, because she is going to be the escrow officer who's leading the class today. She's talking about net sheets. We do have another class. We have a whole series of classes coming up, so you might want to dial into some of those. Next week, she's talking title commitments and vesting strategies, I believe, right?
Yes.
Is the correct one. So going over how to read the title commitment. But Anne, she started her career in 1990. She has a ton of experience in different transactions: national, commercial, REO, resale, new builds, wholesale. There's never been anything that I've ever tossed at Anne that she has said, I don't know how to do that. She absolutely 100% knows how to do that. Honestly, agents love working with her because she does give that white glove service. She works when you're working. So she's available on the weekends. She's available, like, you get her cell phone. And I know, like, sometimes you think, oh, it doesn't matter, but especially when you're new, having someone in your corner to be able to, tell you how to do a net sheet, how to give you fees and all of that stuff is so super important. So we love that about Anne. She can service at any client all over the state, doesn't matter. So any county, anywhere, we can get the job done. And then just personal notes about Anne. She recently remarried her high school sweetheart and enjoys boating, relaxing in Mexico. I put Mexico. Spending time with her family, and then she has 3 children and 3 grandchildren. So I just want to pass it over to you, Anne. You are amazing, and I can't wait to hear what you have to teach them today. So
Thank you.
take it away, sister.
Hello, everybody. All right. So I think we're starting with seller net sheets, right? Or
Yep.
seller side. Okay. So we have a net calculator online program that we're going to go through at the end, but I wanted to go through a couple of things that I see when I'm working up net sheets, that a lot of things are missed, or little things that'll help you get a more clear net sheet for your customers. The best scenario would be to call me or text me or email me and just say, hey, I need a net sheet, here's the details. Because I know exactly what what needs to go in there. I know what questions to ask you that you should include or not include. And you'll just get and I could do it a lot quicker, probably navigating through the screen. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, text, email, or call, and just say, hey, I need a net sheet, buyer or seller or both. And it doesn't matter what time. I know, like Kat, I think, was working on one last night or the night before, I can't remember, but she texted me, she's like, hey, I need help. You know, it was 6:30 at night, no big deal. It took me a couple minutes, got it over to her, and she was so happy. So it's really easy for me to do. But again, we'll walk you guys through it too, just in case you can't reach me for some reason, which is 99% impossible. But and then, you know, if you have questions, you can always reach out to me as well. So what's our first screen? Payoffs. Okay. So one of the biggest common things I see when agents are doing seller net sheets is they'll ask the seller what their balance is on their loan on the home. Most of the time, because they don't know, they're going to look at their last statement and tell you the principal balance. So the principal balance versus a payoff balance, you're going to have a couple $1,000s off most of the time. So it's super important to either let the customer know that, so they know what to expect, or, you know, pad it 1,000 or two. So I have an example for one. We have a payoff statement. The total payoff is 345,000, but their principal balance is 343. So keep in mind, if you're paying the June 1st payment, that's paying May's interest. So when you go for a payoff statement versus a principal balance, a payoff is going to show you the current month's interest, because you wouldn't have paid that yet until the next payment's due. Also, all the lender charges, they'll have a recording fee, a doc prep fee. Some of them are ridiculous, especially servicing agents, like, you know, Old Republic account servicing or security title account servicing. A lot of them will have excess of fees. So always make sure that you let the seller know that the payoff balance could be off a couple thousand if it's based on their principal. So that's one huge thing. And did we include a sample of the payoffs?
I do not have that in the presentation. Do you need
Oh,
one?
that's okay. That's all right. All right. So the next one is property taxes, I believe.
Yes, let's see. I'm driving her presentation, so forgive. Good.
There we go.
Property taxes.
All right, so property taxes, much like interest on a payoff, are always in arrears. So that always confuses people, especially sellers, agents, pretty much everybody. So every time probably that I send out a closing statement to a seller, most of the time they'll say, I already paid the taxes for this year. That's not possible, because the taxes for this year don't come out until August. So we have to explain to them. So the first half of the current year taxes, January through July of this year, for instance, become available in August, and they'll be due in October. So the first half of this year is not even out yet until August, and becomes due October 1st and delinquent November 1st. So the taxes that everybody just paid were the second half of last year. Those were just due in March and become delinquent May. So it gets a little confusing. And when you're preparing your net sheet, the sellers are always going to be behind in taxes. So they'll have a tax proration debit, which we can show you how to put in the our net sheet work app. It's actually pretty easy if you know the tax amount, but just make sure that you go through that with your sellers, because they get confused at the end and then they're off, you know, however much those tax prorations are, because they weren't counting on that. Next, I think we have agent credits.
Yep.
Yeah. This is more for the buyer side, but we put it on the seller's portion just in case, because a lot of times I have agents that do credits to their buyers on a regular basis out of their commission. And the problem is they would wait till the figures were put together at the end with the lender, and then they would send over that commission credit. Well, as you know now with TRID and CDs, that could cause a problem. They have to, you know, disclose that when they disclose the CD, and that could cause a delay and have them to redisclose. So if you're thinking about doing a credit, make sure that you let the escrow officer know whether it's the seller or buyer credit as soon as possible. Even if you don't know the amount yet, just make sure that you kind of get that note out there that there might be a credit coming. That way we can alert the lender, and we can put an estimate maybe in there or something. Because if we do it, I have a lot of agents that are still doing it at the last minute, and then I've had a couple files where they had to redisclose and it delayed the closing, or they had to not do it. So if you're wanting to do that, make sure that you're very clear and upfront. And next we should have discounts. Okay, so sellers, we have a lot of discounts, and we send in our opening package a opening packet for both sellers and buyers. In that opening packet, we ask them a series of questions like, are you a first responder? Are you a teacher? We have many discounts that we can give, and we like to give discounts. And like other companies I've worked with, we don't promote them. At Old Republic, they actually do promote them, and they push to give the discounts. So we have senior citizens discounts, real estate professional discounts, pretty much every discount that every company has. But we will ask that in the opening package for the buyers and sellers. That way, when we get to the working up the figures, we already know what they qualify for, and we can make sure to put that in for them.
Does military count on that or no?
Yes, yep. Military discount is 30%. Most of our discounts are 30%. I think senior citizens only one that's 20%. But we have churches, nonprofit, we have investor, first responder, military veterans rate, real estate professional rate, and senior citizen rates. And then I believe we also have a match rate too, if it comes down to that. Buyer net sheets, all right. Oh, something else really quick, before you flip to that one, something really quick too. On the contract, I know that you guys all know this, but sometimes we get to closing and I have a seller who asks me, why am I paying an owner's title policy? So I have to revert them back to page 3, you know, section 3C, where it says seller or buyer to be provided seller's homeowner's policy. So just make sure you go through that when they initial that page, maybe point it out to them so they understand. Because I've had 2 sellers that were upset with their agent because I said, oh, my agent never went over that with me. They just skipped over it. So, you know, they were more frustrated at the end if they don't know about it, because it could be, you know, depending on the sales price, it's an insurance policy based on the sales price. So it's a couple $1,000s most of the time. And buyer net sheets. Okay, so for buyers, we have a series of net sheets you can do on our program, which it's really awesome once we get into that and walk you through it. But for the buyer side, you have a couple different options. You have a TRID format, you have a closing statement format, and it'll walk you through as much as you can input for it. One of the things that I notice actually for both sides is on the HOA addendum. A lot of people will base their figures on the HOA addendum, you know, the fees that the HOA gave them. Keep in mind that they don't always give you everything. So on the HOA addendum, it does say on the last page that the price amount of fees may not be known until written disclosure documents are provided by the HOA. This happens very often. I get a lot of agents that'll call me and say, hey, I just got your closing statement, because I'll start sending a closing statement out the first week. And then every week I send another one out with an update, you know, keeping everybody posted on what we're missing, where we're at, where our fees are at so far as I'm building them. So you can chime in and say, hey, this is, you know, my commission is not 3%, it's going to be 2%. Or HOA fees are wrong. So for the HOA, it comes down to what we get from the HOA directly. We don't go by the HOA addendum because it's not what's coming from the HOA directly in writing. So a lot of times, what I just saw recently is somebody put in the other section some for a compliance fee, like a new compliance fee. It didn't really fit into any of the sections below. It wasn't technically a disclosure fee. It wasn't technically a capital improvement fee. So, and they never put who pays for it. So there is an other fees section on page 3 that associates with page 1. But if you don't assign it to who's paying it, seller or buyer, it becomes a gray area and a problem. So now I have this particular deal, the agents are going back and forth trying to decide and negotiate who's going to pay this compliance fee because it doesn't fit. So, but they knew about it. So be careful, make sure you negotiate all the fees if they don't fit in those categories. Disclosure fees are always paid by the sellers. So another scenario, I just got a deal, I think 2 weeks ago, and they put in the counter offer, buyer to pay any and all HOA fees. That's great. They meant to include the disclosure fee, but if you don't specifically put disclosure fee for our end, since it says by law, the seller has to pay the disclosure fee on the addendum, we put this disclosure fee on the seller side. So be sure if you intend for the buyer to pay the disclosure, if it's even, I've never actually seen that, but until this situation, but there was, make sure that you're very specific about that. And then we can show you quickly how to walk through and put the HOA fees in our net sheet so they work. And then same for the buyer, we have discounts for the buyer side. Keep in mind that the discounts on the buyer side are mostly going to be on the escrow fees because the buyer, if they're getting a loan, they're already getting a 50% discount on the lender's policy. So we can't double discount the lender policy. So these discounts that you see here are the same for both seller and buyer, but they're based on the escrow. So they'd be discounted off the escrow fee. And what's the next one?
Have you ever seen a non-declarant disclosure fee?
For an
That
HOA?
was yeah, for the HOA.
I don't think so, no. Which one is that? Which HOA is that?
I think that was Brown County or Brown
Community?
City, Brown Community, yeah.
Yeah.
It says
No, I don't.
non-declarant, and I never heard of it. Not that
I
I've
haven't
seen
heard
a
of that
million
one
of them.
There's some new ones coming up. Like I said, this compliance fee, it was called a new membership, or no, it was called a membership compliance fee. So for me, I originally put it on the buyer side because membership to me sounds like a new membership. But it ended up being technically a disclosure fee. So they classified it under the disclosure for the seller to pay.
Yeah, it went to the seller side.
That makes sense to me because if you said disclosure in the description, right?
It was a non-declarant disclosure fee.
Yeah, so disclosure, any type of disclosure fee would be seller, I would think.
I didn't know what the client asked me, what's declarant? Like,
I would direct them to the HOA.
let me get back to you on
Yeah.
that, because I've never seen that.
I have not either. So here we have our, this is our calculator, our online calculator, and you can sign up. I think Lindsay, they just email.
Put some stuff in here so you can kind of see how to sign up, and then
Yeah.
we'll through like what it looks like after you've signed up. And I say, I mean, utilize this as much as you want. She's going to show you all the ins and outs, but when in doubt, just call Anne.
Yeah, I could do a lot faster for you, and I'll know what questions to ask and what you need in there.
So if we have a listing or even a potential purchase contract, if we send you guys the address, can you pull up some of these fees, or is it not, you gotta wait until an escrow?
We can pull up the fees. The only thing we can't pull up is HOA. So, HOA of course is its own animal. So if I've had another transaction in that subdivision, I always look, and if I can pull some of the fees, I will. But a lot of times I can't get the fees unless you provide them. So I will usually ask you if I don't get that information, I'll reply, or if I have you on the phone, I'll say, okay, do you happen to know what the HOA dues are and when they're payable? Do you know any of the other HOA fees by chance? And then I can dump those in as well. The idea is to get the most accurate net sheet as possible, which, you know, you can only get so close, but. And then
I
I
can
put
see
the
that.
taxes in. That's why I'll ask you for the property address, because I want to get as much information on it for you as I can. And whatever I can't find or not sure about, I'll ask you.
Some of the hardest work is just trying to get the HOA information.
That I agree with you.
Oh,
They're
I did
terrible.
one that I think the company was sold 4 times,
Yep. We
and it
used
was
to,
a matter of tracking it down.
when I started back in the 90s, we used to have an HOA directory in our escrow office. That went out the window pretty quickly because it changed hands so much, it just got impossible to track them. So people ask me all the time, they're like, can you tell me what the HOA fees are on this property? I'm like, I have no idea. Tell me who the HOA is, I'll call them and ask them, but I have no idea.
HOAs are fun.
Yeah.
I'm always glad I don't have to deal with that portion of it. Have a good time. I jumped into, this is the net sheet calculator, and then so you'll come when you go to the site, I put it in the chat so you can grab it there. But I'll also send it out in an email, after this, but just so you know, this is what pops up when you come here. You go to our website and you go to calculator, or you can go directly to this link here. And then you don't have an account, so you're gonna go to the no account sign up. And then you're going to put your information in here. The important thing is that you pick the branch where Ann is if you want Ann's fees. So because we have so many branches and we actually have a lot of underwriters, and so there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in different counties, as you can see here. You're going to want to choose the branch that Ann is at, because that means that it will quote the fees that Ann will typically quote. So she's at our Higley branch. So just so you know, you want to go here, Maricopa, Higley. And then you're going to put it under Ann, because I'm all over the place and I don't know what it does. There's a drop down here too eventually. And then you're just going to choose Ann. So she's out of that office. And you can just put what you are. You're a real estate agent, and then you just hit sign up. And then when you do, it's going to send you an email that you have to confirm your email. So you'll have to go in, confirm your email. And then when you do that, you are here. So this is when you log in, this is what you're going to see. I do want to say we do not have an app. However, if you need help, you can bookmark this website on your phone and it'll act kind of like an app. So you can put it on your home screen, so you can just jump in here whenever you want to do the fees. I don't quote fees, so I always leave this to Ann to walk through, show you all the cool stuff. Like I said, she's available 24/7, but sometimes you're in a pinch or you just kind of want to know. Maybe you're new and you're just researching and kind of want to know. This is a great place to come in and do that. So I'm gonna let Ann walk you through her typical walkthrough of our net sheet calculator. So take it away, I'll drive.
All right, so if you go to new estimates, let's start with a seller net sheet. So you can see these are all the different sheets that you can prepare. Seller net sheet and buyer estimate are the two biggest ones. Yep, seller net sheet. So this is going to basically walk you through everything. So let's put a property address in there. Anybody got an address you want to use?
Yeah, somebody give us a.
Here, do mine. 19.
I'll put mine in there.
Okay, there you go.
Now everybody knows where I live. I mean, it's not public record anyway.
All right, so we're gonna throw a sales price in there. Lindsay, throw a sales price in there.
How much do I want for my house?
$1 million. Don't go that high.
I'm gonna say, I don't know, let's just 700.
All right.
I'm feeling frosted and saucy. All right.
And then you can put in the closing date that you want. So any closing date that works.
It automatically pushes you out 30 days, right?
it will, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then you can see below, it'll start asking you a bunch of questions, like, is it residential or commercial? It pretty much selects the answers that are most common. Will there be a loan payoff? So if you know that the property's free and clear, change that to no, but typically most of them are, yes, there is a loan payoff. If it's a mobile home, carryback financing, you're just gonna go through each one of these. If your customers qualify for any of the discounts, you can click on, yep, and there it shows you all the different discounts. So it automatically helps you do the discounts as well. Same thing with the seller. Then if you click on below, you have loan payoffs. If you open that up. So here's where if you put in the principal balance versus a payoff figure, you're going to be a couple thousand short. So I always recommend, if you're not sure, if you're pretty sure they used a principal balance, pad it at least $2,000. It may or may not be enough, but it'll give you a little bit of a cushion.
So they said my loan is, I have 250,000 and we would say 252,000.
Yeah, just pad it a little bit.
That hurt.
Or if the seller's adamant, no, I want the principal balance, just make sure they understand, because you don't want that to come back on you later when you're like $2,000 short or $3,000 short, and they're like, what? Your net sheet was not right.
It's better if you say later too, like, oh, here is some extra money.
Yeah, it is. And then real estate commissions, that's when you open that up, it'll tell you, you can do a percentage or an amount. So you can put whatever you want in there. It also allows for an additional.
Everyone's getting paid full price in mine.
You can also do a transaction fee. There's some brokerages that have transaction fees, so that allows you to do that. And then homeowners association, that's a whole can of worms. So you want to put in you can change monthly to annually or semi based on how the HOA collects, and then you'll fill that in, of course. So put in like $100 or something.
I don't have one, but we'll make it up.
There you go. It's very important that the seller pay the dues or not. If you put yes, it's gonna show a prorated credit back to the seller. If you put no, it's gonna show a prorated charge.
So if I say the dues are monthly and the seller, let's say it's the 6th of the month, the seller says I've already paid the dues. We're assuming they've paid the dues up to the point of when the closing date is.
Right. So put yes. So that just means that this seller says they paid the dues for June.
Right.
So it's going to prorate. Resale certificate, that's your disclosure fee, and then transfer fee. I always put 400 in the resale certificate fee, because the sellers always pay the disclosure, and that's the most they can charge. Transfer fee, it could be buyer or seller, so you can fill that in as needed. If it's for the seller and they agree to pay it, then you could put an amount in there. There's other HOA fees. If you know there's other additional ones the seller's going to pay, we can put those in other seller expenses at the bottom. So we'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay. Oops, sorry, I skipped there.
That's okay. Taxes. So if you go on the county website, you can put the annual tax amount there. So just say, there you go. And then it'll automatically prorate those for you at the end, which is nice. And then other seller expenses is where you can put any additional credits, like if you have seller concessions. If you click on expense, I think, yeah, expense or credit. So if there's a credit for some reason to the seller, I've had an agent say they were going to credit them, or the buyer was going to credit them back for something. You could put that in there, and you can type out whatever you want for the name and the amount. Expenses, typically I put in here additional HOA charges that the agent's given me, or home warranty if the seller agrees to pay it, or seller concessions, something like that. There you go. Put like $500 just so they can see how it comes out. Go ahead and add another expense. Add seller credit to buyer.
Okay.
And just put like $5,000. Okay, now you can calculate. So even if you miss something and once you do this, you can go back. So let's calculate and look at what it looks like. So here your seller's going to net $394.9, and it shows you the breakdown of all the fees. But wait, we missed something. We need to go back. It says the listing broker's commission is only 2.5. So Lindsay, go back up to the top and click on edit. And it's going to take you right back Why didn't it take you right back?
It didn't. I don't know.
And it's making a liar out of me.
Right.
All right.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Usually it'll take you right back and all your information will still be in there and then you can just change the percentage or whatever you want to
We
change.
didn't save it.
You shouldn't have to save it. That's really weird. Yeah, another nice thing about this is they'll automatically save, typically.
Good.
I can actually go back through mine for the last year, I believe, or more, and go back to ones and edit them. Like if I have an agent that Michelle will often ask me for changes to one that she asked for last week, I can go back to it and make the changes.
Right, and it should be under your account, so you should be
Yeah.
able to go in and
Okay.
I'm just gonna do this again really quick. I know it doesn't have everything in it, but see if
That's
it'll-
okay. So yeah, it'll show you the breakdown towards the very bottom, and then if you go back up to the top, you have more options. So you can download it, make it a PDF. You can email it to somebody. You can make a flyer out of it.
I'm gonna try to edit it again, but I'm scared we're.
Wait, stop. Go to yeah, there's no way to save it. It's supposed to automatically
I know
save.
it should automatically save it. It's really weird. No, it didn't.
And if you guys do set up your own, Lindsay, go to the very right where you see the L for Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go there, you can set up your profile settings with your photo and your business information on it. So when you do print out the PDF, it'll create a little flyer with all your information on it.
It took me back here. I think something's wonky with it. Not that.
Yeah, that's not usual. I was thinking you should probably maybe log into mine. Except I don't know my password because I usually just automatically go in there.
It wants me to log in again. Let's see. Let me see. Well, this is fun. Don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll move on to the next one, but I think because it does usually save them, so we will figure out. Good thing we figured that out. So you can go in and I'm pretty sure everybody on the call is like figure that out if you need to. Go in and change the estimate because like now it has that I don't have any, so I don't know if that could be because my account is new or different. I'm not sure, but you should be able to, like she said, go in and hit the edit button and it will take you in and you can just edit that quote. And did you see where you could change the title and you can edit that and call it whatever you want, so you can run multiple scenarios for the same people and then name them, and then you can export them to a PDF if you need to. And we'll get to the bottom of why it didn't do that on my account, but I think I lost Anne. What happened to her? Oh, there she is. We don't know what to do without an instructor. I'm the fun half. I'm the one that she has to know all the technical stuff. I don't. Are you there, Anne? But we can walk through while she's getting logged on. And does anybody have any questions on this? I'll just put that.
So what is the big variables, I'll say, on title companies? Anne said some of those lender charges are outrageous, but what other charges do we look at to make sure our clients are kind of protected, or you know what I mean, as far as making sure they're not getting gouged
Mm.
by a certain lender or a certain this or certain other?
That's a hard one. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a great question. Even if you're like shopping on a new build, because you need to know different lender fees, different title fees, right? Because you guys can do title and escrow on a new build, but why would they use the builder's title and escrow versus you guys? And I feel like the fees are just padded.
Mhm.
Yeah, the with the builder though, it depends because they refuse to pay. I'm trying to get my screen on the right thing. They refuse to pay the owner's policy typically if you don't go through their title company. So in the end, it ends up being more money for the customer because of that.
Do you
Gosh,
wanna, I was telling them while you had popped off for a second that, we'll get it fixed, but I did walk them through how to redo, how to name it and send it out, so.
okay, perfect.
Just so you know, I mean, it's probably a glitch with my account, so I apologize how fun that we're doing this for everyone to show you how well it works. It doesn't work, but welcome to life, and that's what happens. But if
Right.
you have issues, let us know, but we'll make sure
Right.
to check with them and make sure why that didn't go off. But so I don't know if Anne, because Daryl had that question, and I think you wanted to move to the buyers. Did you want to do a buyer estimate?
Yeah, you can do a buyer estimate. So as far as Daryl, your question on lenders fees, that's hard because lenders all have different fees. You can send me a sheet, like if you get a quote from the lenders that the buyer's working with, and I can look it over and tell you if it seems outrageous. I mean, with experience, you kind of, you look through, so many lenders fees on so many deals, you get to know when they're a little bit higher than normal, but it just depends on the program that they're doing with the lender.
And I guess I'm in that getting to know
Yeah, yeah.
stage.
So you can always send me over if you get a quote from a lender, just, hey, can you look at this really quick and just tell me if it looks okay, or, anytime, even if it's on the weekend, if you want to send something to me and say, hey, I've even had agents I've worked with, for 20, 30 years. And they will have a deal at another title company and email me something like a title commitment or a closing statement and say, hey, wasn't able to get this to you, but can you look at it? And, I don't mind. If I can help, I will, just let me know how I can help.
Well, there's a bunch of lenders out there, right?
Yeah,
So, what do you vet them at the initial conversation of meeting them? Hey, what's basically your charges for a typical $400,000 house?
yeah, you
Whatever.
can.
Is this a question you ask a lender? I mean, lenders just say, "Hey, I want your business." Okay,
Right.
well, great,
Yeah.
great. I love Lindsay. I love the fact you said number two, right?
Right.
Because some of us may already have number one. They don't understand number two when I'm talking to lenders.
Right, right.
No, we just gonna go. No, you just gonna. No, we. If you go with me, I want everything. And I'm like, well, that really doesn't work that way in my world. Well, you're the only one in the world that's doing that. I said, okay, well then, okay,
Yeah. I think
then you're not.
the best thing you could do is ask other people, for lender referrals. I mean, I know lenders that I don't want to work with, and I know lenders that always get the job done. So probably the best thing that you could do is talk to other agents that have been around a long time, or title other escrow officers, because they're going to know what they've experienced with lenders, if they have ridiculous fees or if they promise and under promise, and
I mean, I know they have to make money,
right.
right? They
But
have
you
to
don't want
make
that to
money just
cost
like
your
us.
customer.
Right, right.
But are they that? Are they that much difference between the two of them,
Some of them
the
do,
three
yeah.
of them?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
think that,
said, I heard you say, some of them are astronomical or just ridiculous.
yeah.
So that just kind of, I was curious as to that. What you see.
Yeah,
Seen some low, you seen some high.
we've seen them all over the place.
Yep, and we just have to take it and put it where it goes.
But you can't tell your agent, hey, you're getting hosed.
Right?
Your client's getting hosed by this lender. I
It's,
mean,
yeah, it's hard for us to be as a neutral party. I mean, with title companies and escrow companies, we're all generally the same with fees. I mean, for us, our difference is our service, which for me is something that I strive for, because that's the only thing I can do different. But with lenders, they have so many different programs. You know, one lender can do this type of program, one lender can do a different one. They're gonna have different fees that are associated with them. So I don't, and based on the credit too, maybe there's a reason they have higher fees because the customer's credit wasn't easy to qualify and they had to jump through different hoops. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and when
So
it comes to lenders, some of them are newer in the business, and honestly, they don't, it's weird how the brokerages work, but sometimes they don't get access to the lower fees and interest rates because they're new. So it's a whole game, but that's a whole ballpark we don't go into. She just has to take she takes what she's given and puts it in and makes it work. But I think definitely that's about building a strong team, right? And having your people around you
Yep.
that know
So
that know other people.
is it a good question to ask you guys? Hey, which lender do you guys recommend?
Yeah, I can
You can
email
answer
you.
that question, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because in the years, all the years I've been doing this, I can tell you which lenders 99% of the time perform
Right.
good.
Okay.
They don't blow smoke up and say, yeah, we're getting docs tomorrow, and then they never show up again. I can't tell you how many lenders tell me that over and over again. And then you have the lenders that do. They do what they say. Or if there's a problem, they're not afraid to tell you. That's the biggest thing. If there's a problem, you want a team that's going to tell you. You don't want to be surprised at the end when there's a delay in closing. You're like, I'm sorry, buyer. Sorry that you're moving trucks out there, but we didn't know that there was this huge problem with the loan or the title.
Right.
Nobody told us. So you want a team that's going to be upfront, even with the bad news. There's things that come up that we don't, title wise too, we have stuff that comes up and I'm like, there's a judgment and it's our person and it's a child support. It's a yucky situation that they didn't know was there. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but let's fix it.
Yeah.
We don't want to wait till
Okay.
the end and say, oh, well, I was just hoping it would go away.
That's happened.
You want that team of lenders
There's
on
a lot of
title
stories.
going to tell you.
But there's also times when the client's gonna come to you that already has a lender and there's nothing you can do about that either.
Yeah.
You just have to deal with it. And just like we do, we take it in and we're a neutral third party, so we just go by what the contracts say. And so I think that's a good Mara question too. I like it. Okay, do you want to walk through this buyer estimate?
Yes. Okay. So the buyer estimate's pretty much the same. You put in your property address, transaction type. Let me think my screen's still right. Transaction type. You're going to pick, with or without financing. That's important because if it's a cash deal, you don't want the lender's policy being dumped in there or any of the lender's policy fees. So conventional goods, sale price you'll put in. Basically, you're going to put in as much information as you can. If you don't have it, you don't have to fill it out. But the more information you put in there, the more accurate and helpful it's going to be for the customer. Yeah, it'll kind of dump in the basic, and you can change it or leave it. Closing date.
Okay, yep, it's the closing date out 30 days.
Yeah.
And then for
And it's
residents.
pretty much got all the same questions. You'll see. The buyer's a little bit more detailed because if it's a loan, there's more questions to ask.
Not a mobile home, it's not a solar carryback, but it could be, and you could do that.
Because the reason they put those in there is there's additional fees. With a mobile home, if there's titles, we have to hire somebody to go to the DMV and do the title work, mobile home title work.
So we can do mobile home.
Yeah, carryback. We have to prepare all the carryback documents. Sometimes there's additional fees. I don't charge them as an escrow officer, but I know some do.
So I'm not
And
even
then they have
saying,
other discounts.
I'm not a real estate agent. Okay, endorsements and fees.
Endorsements, it's going to pick the most common endorsements. Lender's always going to require specific endorsements, always an 8.1, which is an environmental endorsement. That's been since the end of time, they'll require that. CPL fee at the bottom, that's almost all lenders except for, I think, First Credit Union require that. And then the other two are basic, if, I don't see PUD on there.
It's up here.
Okay, so if there's an HOA, you're gonna wanna click that one, cause that's gonna be $100. If there's no HOA, then you don't need that one, but most lenders are gonna require that one as well. The 8.1 and the PUD, and then the last two on the bottom are also typical ones that lenders will require, so I would throw those in just to make sure that you have it estimated in there.
You might as well. And then the rest of these, I think, are just like very specific if it's a condo or.
Right, if it's condo versus a home with a
Oh,
HOA.
right, those came up for a second, a little bit ago. They haven't come up lately, but they came up for a little bit,
Yeah,
so they're all.
but yeah, you can go through and check whichever ones, like if it's a mobile home, you wanna click mobile home, the Alta 7. But again, this is a little bit more complicated than the seller net sheet, so I don't mind doing these for you guys. Just email or text me and say, hey, I need a net sheet for the buyer or seller or both. And I can
Does
work them up for
everybody
you.
understand what these are, what the different endorsements are? So it's, make sure we don't without people.
So the endorsements are what the lender is gonna require to add to their policy. So if there's a homeowners association, if it's a condo, they're gonna want a condo. And then if they want a, if it's a home, they're gonna want the plan unit development. That basically just says that the homeowners association, if they ever file a lien against the home, it'll come secondary to the lender's loan. So that's why they are going to request that endorsement. They want to make
Yeah,
sure.
all of these protect the lender.
Right, exactly. Home insurance, you can just put in an estimated amount. What
These
the,
days it's like 10 grand for the year. I feel like it's a little ridiculous on homeowners.
yeah, they're getting expensive.
Well, we'll
But-
just say too.
And you don't have to put anything if you don't want to. But they're gonna have to pay, if they're getting a loan, they're gonna have to pay the insurance up front. Taxes, same thing. This will do a backwards proration credit for the buyer. Where on the seller, it's gonna do a charge.
This only has room for a flat brokerage fee for the buyer.
That's,
Yes.
yeah, and that's only if the buyer is gonna be paying commission. So homeowners association, you're gonna wanna put the dues in there as well. Because that's gonna figure out on the buyer side, the proration and upfront dues that they're gonna need to pay.
And then I said that the seller has paid this month's dues, so.
Yeah, cause that's important for them, for it to figure out the proration. Impounds, I would just leave that unless the lender's given you, if the lender's giving you guys a quote, a loan quote, and you have all this information, you could fill it in. But otherwise, I would just leave it. Same with the lender fees. If you know any of them, you can throw them in. It'll help get them a better figure. And then there's your extra again. So if the buyer's getting a seller concession, you can fill that in as a credit. If the buyer is getting a credit from their agent, you can fill that there too. Any miscellaneous stuff you can put in there, charges or credits.
I'm getting a concession. I feel like I deserve it.
I
And
think you deserve it.
my awesome Bliss agent negotiated such a good concession.
And then you got your calculate. And then same thing, you can save it as a PDF. Download, or make flyers or do all that good stuff.
Where I named it, so we can
There you
name it. Send it through, but it kind of gives them a good rundown. And you can
And
put it-
then also show where you can go back and find it. So at the very top, on the right side, where it says all estimates,
Yes.
that's where you can go back and it should pull up all your previous.
It only
estimates
pulled
you've
up this
done.
one, so I'm wondering if, I think you need to name it.
Maybe I have, yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do usually put the address at the top.
You need
and
to
I name it, yeah.
And then that's how it'll come back up and you're all estimate.
So if you go,
Work together.
Lindsay, go to the right, the very right, and the little menu button there. Yeah, you can edit it, you can duplicate it, and you can delete it. So you can go back a year later and edit that if you need to make a change, or, a couple days later. So that's really nice that it saves it for you. Especially if you have like a seller net sheet you're doing and they're not sure on the price, so you want to do one for like 300,000, one for 320. If you want to do a couple different scenarios, you can.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Here's your Q&A session. Ask the escrow officer. I think you covered it really, really well with the net sheet calculator. We all learned that you have to name it
Yeah. Oops.
in order to go back and edit it. And again, I would utilize that as a, I couldn't get a hold of Ann for whatever reason, but probably not. Or something that you just like, you're curious, especially if you're new, a lot of these things come up, what are these things? So you can familiarize yourself with that.
Yeah, I would, if you get a minute, go in there and play with it, do your own house or something, and then just get familiar. It's actually a really great tool, and it's really quick once you get familiar with it.
All right, nobody has any questions? Oh, Mara's on.
Are you guys gonna email that tool out too? So we have it,
I will
and I
send-
can attach it to this class in Sweet Assist and even the PDF if you want, but. Or the slideshow.
I can do that. I can
Cool.
send you all of that so you can throw it in there.
Thank you. I'm really excited about the next class too, so.
Title
Thank you.
commitments investing. That's where you get into the cool stuff.
Yeah, title. Title investing, so much fun.
If people only realize how much you guys have to go through, it's like, just to be an agent is, it's not just helping people find the house, it's everything that happens after they find the house. That's like, that's what you guys get paid for. If they only knew all this stuff.
No, we don't do anything.
I know,
We're just
I know.
sit around and collect money.
There you go. That's
You guys do all the work,
Yeah, well,
drive fancy cars.
yeah. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for logging in. You have Ann as a resource. I will follow up anybody who filled out that sheet, but honestly, I follow up with everybody. So if you have questions or need something, I'm going to send out kind of an intro with all of Ann's information. So you know how to get a hold of her. We are very stay in your lane. I always say I'm the fun one, but it's not that Ann's not fun. She is a fun person. However, when it comes to the title company, I handle all of the events, the fun stuff, the marketing, if you have questions about flyers or open houses, that's all me. But if it's ever a transaction or, you have questions about something very technical, I only know enough to be dangerous, and it's very dangerous. So don't ever send me a contract. I have no idea what to do with it. It all goes through Ann. So I'll make sure that you have all of her information. But all of my information as well. I'll always refer you back to her. But I hope that you guys got a lot out of this class. I know some of you will be watching it from the recording, so don't hesitate to reach out if that's you. If you had questions on, what was going on here. So I appreciate all of you for being on. I appreciate Bliss for, like I said, facilitating this. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Very informative.
Thank you. And
Thank